Okay guys, today's video is going to be about a couple of belts that Point Blank sent out to me. Point Blank certainly is the name that pops as soon as you think gun belt, I guess, or battle belt. We ran their carriers for years on patrol. Never had an issue with them. Point Blank is a quality product. You know what you're going to get with Point Blank. I ran into them down at the National Tactical Officers Association conference this past year in Aurora, Colorado, and their belt definitely struck me when I saw it. It looked high quality, looked fairly modular, looked like something that, I'd have no issue running in the field. So we chatted about it a bit. One of their reps, Merle, thank you, Merle, he sent me out both their patrol belt and their gun belt. So we'll talk a little bit about those, and we're going to set those up. And these are something I'm going to run each of those for a little bit of time, give a bit of a review on what I thought as far as their performance in the field, their performance at the patrol level, and offer a little bit of feedback, a little bit of criticism, pros and cons on those. So the first one we're going to talk about is going to be their gun belt. So the gun belt is a 1.75 inch belt. It's fairly sturdy, and the concept that I really like about it is the ability for this thing to change sizes rapidly. So every single hole you see here is I could potentially move this Cobra buckle for an adjustment in size. So if you screw up on your ordering size as far as how big or how small you order, large, extra large, whatever, this thing has got a lot of forgiveness for that. You can simply pop these little buttons on the back side of the Cobra, and you can move these things up and down. So you just pop those buttons loose, and then you just slide it to whatever ones correspond with your size, and then just pop it right back in, and you're good to go. It's a smaller belt, 1.75. I prefer a larger one for a duty wear. Obviously, I prefer a smaller one for something different. So if you're working in an unmarked unit, something like this is definitely a little bit more up your alley than the full-size belt, for me at least. It's got a Taegger's core on inside of it, so it's fairly stiff, but not over the top. I like my belt to be rigid. So along with the belts, they send me two different types of underbelt. So people generally prefer one versus the other. So I got the tear apart here. The hook and loop system is what it runs with, the inner and under belt. So they have the version that has absolutely no rigidity to it. You just ball this thing up. I don't like these. I don't prefer that. Then they have the more rigid option that has the Taegger's core inside of it. You can see inside of there that I definitely prefer. So something like this is much more up my alley. I like that rigid stiffness. I don't want shit moving around. So this is what I prefer. They were nice enough to send me one of each. Sent me the same setup for both the belts. As far as the underbelts, they sent me the more rigid one and the one that you can just ball up and toss. I started the process already of building the patrol belt. That's the only name they had. Kind of a weird name for it, patrol belt. They got get a little more creative with the naming, I believe, there. But that is going to be a 2.25 inch belt. As far as the adjustments go, it's going to be very similar. You can just pop your Cobra clip loose. Same concept here. You pop it loose, slide it to where you want it, and then you're in business. The Cobra clips actually do have the ability to have some fine adjustments made right here. You don't get much, but you can cinch this thing down with those finer adjustments. But I haven't found the need to actually refund this thing. It actually sits pretty tight when you find that right slot, or those two right slots for you. So this one I'm going to set up for duty for me. I've already begun. They sent me a handcuff case as well, so I got that on there. And then I tossed my duty holster on there. It's got a tourniquet mounted up in front of it. So began the process with this one. We'll finish that up today. They also sent out 2 magazine pouches for pistol. So it's got your traditional MOLLE attachment as well on these. I actually shoved them back down on the backside because I'm not going to use the MOLLE attachments they sent. They sent out these small, let me grab one here, attachment strips that you can use, these Velcro attachment slips. Not bad. I'm used to, everyone's got a different name for these things, but more or less you use this to attach your pouches or affix things to your belt. I don't mind it. These are a little shorter than the ones I normally work with, but simple concept, basically hook and loop around the belt. Your belt then sandwiches the two between the outer and the inner belt. I have already toyed with these on the duty belt, and I had some concern that they were going to move or get pulled off if I were to run into my door as I'm getting out or any type of solid object, but these haven't moved at all. So I'm going to toss 2 of these on the actual duty belt itself. I'm not going to put an AR-15 magazine pouch on there. I don't need one on there. I have one that I wear in my kit for that. And then for the gunfighter, I'm going to set this more up for a range belt, not so much a duty belt. So I'll be putting 2 pistol magazine pouches on this, 1 AR-15 magazine pouch on this. And then I'm actually going to use, I'm waiting for a good opportunity to use this thing, but High Speed Gear gave me this holster at the N2A conference last year as well. They didn't have a name for it at the time. They may now, but it's a level 3 retention system holster. It's got this big nasty paddle on the top of it, but your gun is not coming out of there. Obviously that's for safety purposes for whoever's wearing it. You don't want somebody else accessing your firearm. The only issue I've run into with this is that on my duty gun, my Glock 17, I bought a Kegworks riser for my slide release. My grip, I was actually running into my slide release and I was not getting slide lock. And also it's a little bit bigger than the one that comes on it. But my issue I'm running into there, when I try and holster, I'm running into this with this holster. It's kind of hard to see down inside of there, but if you can see it, there is a small little ridge right here that I'm actually running into. So I'm going to modify this with a Dremel and see if I can't get it to where I'm not running into that. I don't think it's going to take a ton, but I'll take a little bit of material off that. And then we're going to run this in accompany with that gun belt and see what kind of setup that turns out to be. For magazines, I am going to probably toss on some of my HRT 30-degree candid mags. Those are what I have laying around. So I'm going to do one at a 30 degree. That'll be that primary reload pouch. And then I'm going to do the other sitting right at 90 degrees. So that's what we're looking to do now. And I'll actually probably throw on, they sent me a dump pouch. So I'll probably throw a dump pouch on this one as well and see what I think of that. So I'm going to get rolling on that. We'll add a few little snippets of the process, and then we'll get out to the range. We'll wear the things to work a little bit and put up a review for you guys. All right, much better. All right, we're gonna do a rigidity test. We got HRT's pistol mag pouch, and then we got the point blank magazine pouch. Fully loaded magazine. All right, neither is gonna come out of there. Oh, point blank's starting to slip. All right, HRT takes the cake on that one, but both perform well. You're going to be in quite the position if you're shaking up it's upside down like that. So not terrible, but win for the HRT. So a nice thing about these wraps, you don't have to be 100% on a row of MOLLE. So we don't have to be sitting where there's a row of MOLLE to attach this. You can put it wherever you want it. So a little bit nicer there if you have, especially if you have a lot of stuff you're wanting to put on, having the ability to kind of move it to and fro makes it nice. Probably help if I didn't put it on upside down, but that's what's fun about making a video and putting things together. A lot of things going on. All right, tight. I like to have a little bit of space between them so I can index one and not hang up on the other. All right, and tight. So that's all that's gonna go on this belt. 2 pistol pouches, our handcuff pouch, and our holster. We're gonna leave it at that for the duty belt. We're not gonna add too much bulk to this thing. So the pistol mags we're gonna go with for the gun belt, they are the HRT magazine pouches. Ran out of other pouches, so this is what I'm using. We're going to use two different mounting systems though. We'll use the Point Blank tack wrap, the Velcro system we were talking about. And then for the other, we're going to use HRT's Tagris 30-degree cant system. I'm not sold on Tagris yet for mounting pouches. I love Tagris for that added core strength that they utilize in a lot of these belts. For mounting product, I'm not sold on it yet at this point. This seems to be the obvious fail point on these. Catching them on something, you're gonna eventually end up tearing something like this, or if you're putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart, these start to wear out a bit. This marries amazingly well to their arc belt, but not other belts, which obviously it's designed to go on their belt, not another belt, but I do like that 30-degree cant. So toss both of these on there. Then we're gonna go with two, since this is basically gonna be a range belt, we're gonna do two AR-15 pouches that they sent out. And we'll just use the MOLLE attachment for that. We're not gonna use the tack wraps for that. And we'll go with a dump pouch that they sent out as well. Gotta have a dump pouch out on the range. So we'll toss all these on there and we'll see what it comes out looking like. We'll get the holster mounted and get it fitted and go from there. So one cheat code when you're installing pouches, if you want to get it right the first time or not do it 4 or 5 different times, these ones are fully mounted. They're where I want them to be. I'm going to put it on this rifle pouch, something that will be wise so you don't have to do it twice, which I'm doing right now. Just feed that MOLLE through one time and then roll that pouch where it's going to sit. And it's going to give you a pretty good idea of where that pouch is going to sit in relation. That's not exactly how it's going to sit right there. It's sit a little lower than it normally would. But then you can toss this pouch or this belt on, and then you'll have a fairly, a fairly good idea, at least, about where that thing is going to sit. If it's going to be in the way, if it's going to be too far away, if it's going to kind of hit at your draw, or if it's going to work where you got it. So if you just run one loop through, it'll kind of give you an idea where it's going to sit, if that's going to be a problem or not. So that is one way to not do it 3 to 4 times like I'm doing right now. So learn from my mistakes. Another nice feature about the high-speed gear belt that they developed, as far as adjusting size to be snug on whatever size belt you're using. If you're using a 2-inch, 175, whatever you're running, they have the ability for a quick adjustment here. Simply remove the screw. There's a little plastic spacer in there, and move it up or down depending on the size of belt you're running. And that'll move that little hard piece of plastic in there, so it's not wiggling as much up and down on your guys' belts. It's not going to be perfect, but it definitely helps take a little bit of movement out of it, which, if you're like me, I hate when things are moving around. So nice, easy, quick way to do that. So we got both belts put together. We'll start with the most simple of the two, our duty belt. So we kept it simple. Just a holster, tourniquet, cuffs, and our pistol mag pouches. So this one is pretty easy. I don't like a lot of weight around my hips, and it just sits there and drags, and after 20 years, your back's gonna be pretty sore. So I like to take a lot of that weight off my hips, put it up onto my plate carrier. So we kept it simple for the duty belt. So now the gun belt, we added some weight, we had some girth to it, but a lot of times from out the range, I shouldn't say a lot of times, there's some days out at the range, I like to shoot without a plate carrier on. So more stuff, I've run out of real estate, right? So more stuff's gonna have to be on the belt. So with the gun belt setup, we went with the high-speed gear triple retention holster that has no name that I'm aware of, at least yet. Our dump pouch, 2 AR pouches, 2 of our pistol pouches, one of which was that Tagris 30-degree cant HRT mount, and then the other just our little elastic hook and loop strap that Point Blank sent out. I hope you get some range time sooner than later with both of these. If you have any comments, something you've done different, everybody has things or ways they do things, let me know. The one big thing I did do that I normally wouldn't like to do, put that dump pouch on my gun side. I like to have it on the offhand side, but generally I don't have 2 AR-15 mags and 2 pistol mags on my belt. Generally, some of that stuff's on the carrier. Just ran out of real estate. So that's something I normally wouldn't do, but I threw it there for the time being. Tell me your thoughts, your concerns, things you do different. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. We're going to hopefully get out and get a video of the performance of both of these sooner than later. But that is the Point Blank 2.25 inch duty belt and the Point Blank 1.75 inch gun belt. Let me know what you guys think.